And number, as you write your name, please put consecutive numbers next to your name. That would be great. And turn it in to Dr. Gauger then at the end, and she'll forward it down here to me. And we'll get one going here. Okay. All right, we'll get some stuff here that we're... Now I did post, for those of you who may have looked at the website, Moodle, I did post a couple of things, and so I'm hoping that if you didn't have a chance to look at them, you'll have a chance to look at them today or within the next couple days. We're going to talk today about the design process and then spend a little bit of time getting into groups. And then we'll talk about the little design competition we're going to have on Wednesday. I think I mentioned last time that in previous semesters we had a little larger projects that we did, but with so many students we just can't do that this time. So it'll just be a little competition. I'll have a little, some treats for everybody, and once we get to that part today, we'll see what we're going to be doing. All right? Okay. Well, let's take a few minutes and go through what we'll be talking about today. Okay. Can anyone tell me, in their own opinion, what engineering design is? Anybody? Don't forget to press your button.
Designing anywhere from a structural design for a product, or designing the makeup on computer-aided drafting, or even just on a drafting table.
Okay. All right. How do we get there then? If that's what we're going to be doing, what's the process? Okay, and I don't know whether that's my next slide here or not. Okay. Oh. We'll be talking about the process in a second. I'm going to be flipping back and forth between the Elmo and the computer. Okay, very good. They're keeping up with me. Let's go to the Elmo just for a second. Maybe, maybe not. If not, that's all right. We'll go back to the computer. Okay, we're having a little problems with the Elmo, so we'll just stick with the computer for right now. Okay? And so exactly, our engineering design, we're going to be looking at some problem and coming up with some solution to that problem, whether it's for a product design, process development, using CAD, using whatever tools we have available to us. All right? And this next statement here is just to show you a little bit of difference between engineering and math and science problem solving. The processes are similar, but the perceptions are a little bit different. Okay? The perception engineering is only applied science and math. Okay? And that we apply scientific principles and abstract math problems and all of that kind of stuff. Well, is that what everyone in here thinks? Up in Idaho Falls in B16? It's awfully warm in here, isn't it? You're ready to fall. If you're tired, I can imagine that you're probably ready to fall asleep in here because it is really warm. Okay. Well, we try in engineering to change this perception, okay? Because we want, as I said last time, we want everybody to succeed in whatever they do, whether it be engineering or whatever avenue you want to take as a career, okay? And all of these are posted, so you know you can make your life easy and just fill in if you would like, okay? And what a lot of the students coming into Engineering 120 and starting their careers in engineering, and even in their first jobs out as an engineer, here's some of the things that a student or a new engineer thinks, that all of our problems are well posed. And why do you think that? Well, you've gone through your career in engineering doing what? Solving problems that have been given to you, mostly out of your textbook, right? And so they're well-posed problems and you don't have too many questions about them, and sometimes you do. Sometimes they're not that well-posed, but most of them are, okay? And that there's only one answer. Well, I'm here to tell you there are many answers, and there are many ways to come up with that answer. And that's okay. I guess they're trying again. All right? And that you have a definite end to a problem. Well, we don't see that yet. Oh, well, hey. See? Now, here we have an engineer who solved the problem. She says, hey, is it your camera's twisted? Isn't it? It sure looks... Oh, it's going in... No. Isn't it supposed to be headed directly down? It's not. Yeah.
Well, we're seeing white. Hey, move the camera. Hit camera 4 and then 12 on the preset.
Oh, there we go. Hot dog.
There you go.
All right. Okay, what's your name?
Justine.
Justine. What area of engineering are you interested in?
Right now I'm
Okay. All right. Justine. Got your number. All right. Got to make sure. You'll get something extra on Wednesday for fixing that problem. Okay. All right. So now if we go back to the computer where we were just a second ago. Okay, there we go. All right. Problems have a definite end. Okay. Well, they don't. You're going to have to come up with the best answer that you can. Okay? And, you know, that we have some specialized knowledge that we're going to apply to those problems. We do. That's what you're going through our programs for, is to learn all that specialized knowledge. And all of these things are going to help you with the analysis side of things. Okay? And why do we want to be strong on analysis? Well, we want to know whether or not what it is we decide to do, we'll be able to do, right? Okay? And so if you're not strong in analysis, then, you know, there's always that question mark. Well, there's always that question mark as to whether it's going to work or not. But if you learn the fundamentals and you have them down really, really well, then, you know, what you come up with, what solution you come up with, you'll have a much better idea as to whether or not, yeah, that, you know, I haven't missed anything. Well, there are always going to be things that you miss. Because how many know about Murphy's Law? You know about Murphy's Law? If anything bad can happen, it will. Okay? Well, what we try to do as engineers is minimize those bad effects. Okay? We try and minimize those bad effects. So these kinds of things help us to do that. Okay? Yes. Push your... Yes? Oh, are you guys copying? These are posted on Moodle, so you don't need to copy. You can just fill in, you know, little extras. Okay? All this stuff's on Moodle, so you can download it and Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So, as I said, most of the problems that we deal with in our everyday life at work are not going to have the characteristics that we just talked about. They're not going to be well posed. Your boss is going to come to you and they're going to say, we need this. And that's all they're going to say, whatever this is. You know, we need this new product. We need it in, 6 months. Go to it. Well, that's not, that can be very scary for a new engineer. Okay? It was for me. It happened to me. It's going to happen to all of you at some point in time. Okay? So, just as I said, all of our problems are open-ended. We try and come up with the best solution that we can. All right? And the longer you work as an engineer, the better that experience leads you then to becoming, for it to be easier to do the engineering design, to do that process, and to come up with a good solution. You know where to go look. Okay? And that's important. Okay, so as I said last time, what did I say last time? Engineering's hard. Okay, engineering's hard. But it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of math, there's a lot of science. We use those as our foundation for our engineering courses that you'll all be taking. Okay? And so we want you to get a good foundation. Okay? So, since our problems aren't well posed and we have things that are uncertain and we don't know whether things are going to work and our boss doesn't necessarily have all the information that we need, so we have to make some assumptions, how do we go ahead and do that engineering design? Well, this is a definition. For those of you, well, I don't know how many of you have ever heard of ABET. Well, what ABET is, it's an accrediting organization for engineering and technology programs. Okay? And so they set the standards for what the program has to have in it. And their definition is summarized like such, is the process of devising a system, component, or process to meet the desired needs. All right? A decision-making process requiring the application of math, science, and engineering principles to meet the stated objective. Holy cow. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Is that what I just said? Okay? You're going to use all the experience. You're going to use all your knowledge that you gain while you're going through your programs here in the College of Engineering. You're going to use that information and knowledge to help solve your problems. Do you think, is there anything else that you might use besides just the stuff you learn here at school? Did you press your button?
Everything you know?
Everything you know. That's right. That's right. Your life experiences are going to help you solve your problems also. Yes, press your button.
Could you maybe give us an example of maybe a problem that you've come across and then solved it, like this, having to make a decision?
Having to make a decision?
Yeah.
Sure. I can keep my mic on. I can do that. There's a problem. How do we keep the mic on? All right. Okay. I worked in industry for many years before I came into teaching, and one of my first design projects was to modify a soldering station for some electronic components, and so there were a group of us who were working on this project to make a modification, and we had some constraints that we had to live with, like how fast the parts were going to be moving through and how big the actual, how much solder we had to put on the part and all of these kinds of things. And so the one thing that we started with was we knew we wanted to keep it as simple as possible, because by keeping things simple, fewer parts, fewer places for things to go wrong. Okay? And so we were looking at the way it was being done, and actually the solder was being rolled on the parts, which wasn't very effective. A lot of the solder would misapply, and so the parts wouldn't be any good. So we all stood there looking at it, and all of a sudden I said, hey, you guys know about cake decorator bags? Okay? And so we started thinking about that type of solution to be able to actually squeeze a metered amount of solder out, deposit it on the part, and bring it back up. Now that came from cooking, a life experience. Silly? Sure. Simple? Yes. Is that something like what you were looking for? So there are those kinds of things, those kinds of experiences that you have. Let's say, how many of you do any mountain biking or any of the extreme biking or anything like that? Any of you do those kinds of things? Okay, so you have these bikes. These bikes cost a lot of money, right? Well, my son just spent a lot of money on his bike, but you know, what happens when they break? You don't want these things to break, right? And so you look at the parts, you look at the bike, and you say, okay, what is it that I need to be careful of? Well, maybe you don't, but you should be looking at those things. So you're gathering those kinds of experiences now, and as you work and gather more of those experiences, you'll become a better engineer. Okay? Okay. Okay. Culmination of all of our engineering activities, engineering analysis, and other engineering activities and tools. Okay, and this is where we started. This is where we started. We want to use those tools. Some of our projects we're going. What did I say about the Boeing 707? Anybody remember? Press your button.
It was the first airplane completely designed and tested on a computer.
There you go. Okay. Sometimes our projects are too big. Okay. Too big. Airplanes, nuclear reactors, you know, just big things that we can't necessarily make and build a prototype, but we might be able to simulate things on the computer. So we're going to use the tools that we use. And you're all going to be learning different computer software as you move along. Those are going to be tools that you'll take with you in your career. Okay? And you'll use them. All right? Okay, here's a simple problem. Will everybody read what the problem is? Pant leg gets caught in a bicycle chain. All right, now if we can go to the Elmo. Idaho Falls. Give me a solution to that problem.
You could wear shorts.
That's a good solution, except in the wintertime.
I think we need to cover the chain.
I'm sorry?
We need to cover the chain.
Okay, we can cover the chain. Okay. Anybody else in IF?
Roll up your pant leg.
Okay.
Put a shaft drive on it.
Okay. How about B16? Do we have anybody over there who wants to offer a solution?
Cover the pant leg, wrap it in something.
Okay. Anybody else over there in B16?
Here. Wear tight pants.
Okay. Anybody here in B32? Yes.
Cover the pant leg, right, stay on, just take off the chain and disconnect get the pant leg loose.
Okay. Well, that's the hard part once we're stuck. is that we're going to have to take things apart and remove the pant leg. Okay, anybody else?
Having ridden bikes a lot, often just turning your heel out will do it.
Okay. Now, if you turn your heel out, that kind of puts the load on your knee and your hip a little differently, and that may not be so good. You may not want to do that. How about ride downhill all the time? And you don't have to pedal. Okay, all right, that's not really a solution. Okay, I'm going to put it on here though because it's not a solution. All right, ride downhill. Okay.
You can also put a 2-stroke motor on that thing.
Well, doesn't that go up here wherever we were doing the shaft drive and a 2-stroke motor? Okay. All right. Yes.
So I have a feeling what you're trying to say is it's not necessarily that there's one problem, but which one works for you with the ability or the materials that you have.
Absolutely. See, you're moving ahead. Okay. If let's just take a step back before we go there, and let's look at our solutions that we have. Okay. And if we want to keep it as simple as possible, then we can look at things like wearing shorts, wrapping the pant leg. Nobody said stick your pant leg in your sock. Well, maybe you don't have socks on, so you could do that. Ride downhill, that's not a solution, right? Because, you know, well, it would be nice if every place was downhill, but of course it's not. You know, things would have to be on a teeter-totter then. So as you go to work, the teeter-totter's this way, and as you go home, the teeter-totter's that way, right? And then you just slide like that.
So could add something to that.
Yes.
For the riding downhill, well, you just ride downhill, you walk the bike uphill. It's a two-part solution.
There we go. There we go. Actually, since I live uphill from school, so in the morning, this is exactly what I do. I ride my bike downhill and I walk it uphill. Okay. Don't have to worry about the pant leg, but that's my solution. Okay, so some of these solutions are going to be applicable to you. Others are not. Some of them are more complicated than others, like the shaft drive is two-stroke motor and things like that. And actually, you know, something like that solution, you'll have a chance to actually do a design like that in your capstone design class if you want. Okay? Some of these other ones wouldn't quite fit the capstone design. Okay, what are you going to design? Well, I'm going to design a rubber band to put on your pant leg. Okay, that doesn't quite make it. All right? So we have we do have these solutions that we can use. Okay. Well, if we can go back to the computer. Okay. Here's our process. All right. Did we recognize the need? Did we have a problem that we were looking at? Yes, we did. We have to worry about our pant leg getting stuck in the chain of our bike, right? And we don't want that to has anybody ever fallen off their bike because of that? I have. Okay? That's a bad thing. All right? Okay. So, define the problem. Well, we did have the problem. We said our pant leg got stuck in the chain of our bike. Okay? Now, and I don't know your name right there? Clayton? Okay. Clayton said, well, some of these solutions that we came up with are going to be applicable to people based on their needs and things like that. And that's what we try to do with our goals and objectives and constraints, is that we look at what those needs are, okay? And what constraints we have to live within. Like, how much is it going to cost? That's a big one. How much time do we have, all right? If you get up 15 minutes before you have to be at school, and you're wearing a pair of pants that you know are going to get stuck in the chain, you've only got 1 minute to decide what it is you're going to do. So it's going to be something quick and fast, right? All right? So you're going to make sure you have a pair of socks on, and you're going to put your pant leg in your socks. Or you're going to grab a piece of rope out of, as you leave home at your garage and tie it around your pant leg. It'll be fast and will solve the problem that you have at hand. Okay? Now, we didn't do this. We didn't plan the project because, it was just a silly example, right? Okay? But we do want to plan what it is we're going to do. Rule of thumb is 80% of your time should be spent planning. The 20% that you have left over for implementation will be much easier. Okay? Now this is a project if you're looking at it, and the project is 100%. So if I plan and I put together a really, really good plan, then that implementation phase is going to be a lot easier. What does planning do for us? Well, it allows us to look at the information that we have, sift through it, keep the stuff we need, push to the side the stuff we don't think we need, okay? But don't throw it away. Why don't we want to throw it away? You might.
Since maybe after the implementing, we might actually need that stuff.
Exactly. We might need it. All right? We might need it. So you don't ever throw stuff away, but if you don't think that you need it, set it to the side, and you can always come back and look through it. I don't know how many senior design teams have gone through the first semester, come up with a solution to the problem, and several solutions, chosen one, and then said, oops, that one's not going to work, and have had to go back to the stuff that they pushed to the side and said, oh, here's what we missed. Here's why. Now we have to do something different. Yes?
Doesn't that kind of work also, even when one of them fails, it's nice to know what doesn't work? Kind of like in math, I mean, if you have 5 ways that something doesn't work, I mean, you know not to go that direction with whatever else you decide to try.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something that you will learn. Now, it's best learning it here, okay? And we have had several of our capstone design projects fail. I shouldn't say fail. They have shown that it couldn't, whatever it was, could not be done, okay? So that would be a fail. Their hypothesis was incorrect, whatever they wanted to start with, their problem statement, whatever it was. And it showed that what we wanted to do couldn't be done. And that is actually a success, because that way you're not, somebody else isn't going to go down that. You publish your results and let people know about that, and someone else isn't going to make the same mistake. Okay, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay.
I think it also goes along the lines, you can't really prove anything in science, just disprove it.
There you go. There you go. Very good. Okay. So, as I said, this is the process that engineers, scientists, everybody. You may have had some projects that you've already worked on, or some decisions that you've had to make. You've actually gone through a process similar to this. You've weighed the pros and cons of what it was you wanted to do, okay? And looked at your constraints, looked at your timeline, okay? And have actually come to some decision, all right? So this should not be a surprise to anybody, but you just may not have thought about it, okay? So you'll develop your alternatives, and from those, because you don't want to just say that you have one, you want to look at some different things. And the different things may go back up to the constraints, and some of your solutions may not cover all of your constraints. And so at this point in time now, you've got to, where it comes down to evaluating those alternatives, that evaluation is going to involve your team, others within your organization, okay? And, you know, eventually, if all the constraints can't be met, somebody with the final say is going to say, okay, let's this one because it covers the most constraints or whatever the issue is. Okay? And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to implement your design, but it never stops there. Okay? This is actually a circular process. All right? And we want to make sure that we monitor how our design goes. All right? Because we are not the ones who actually are going to use that piece of equipment. Okay? Or use that process. It's going to be the technicians or the workers out on the assembly line who are going to be using that piece of equipment and using that process. And if it's not clear to them, and if it's not easy for them to use, then you haven't done what you needed to do as an engineer. All right? So you want to monitor. You want to be out there on that line monitoring and collecting data from the people who are using whatever it is that you've designed and getting information and saying, okay, well, we need to, this would be nice instead of this, whatever it is they have to say, because it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. Okay? All right? If everybody was perfect, we wouldn't be here. Okay? There'd be nothing left to know. All right? And then once you've gone through that process, okay, if there are changes that you have to make, you go up to the top again and you go through the process again. Make those changes and do that. Once you've got something that the operators like, that the technicians like, then you put all that data that you've collected, you write it up and you put it out there for people to use and to see what you did. Okay? But this is the process that you go through all the time, whether you realize it or not. Okay? All right. Well, that's that. Okay. All right. So, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to try and implement this I'll actually leave that process up there once we've discussed our little project we're going to do. Okay? On Wednesday, we're going to do a little project in class, and normally I give this out on the day that we do it, but there are going to be some new requirements, so I want to make sure that I get things from you. Okay? We're going to, well, we'll just put this up. Maybe. There we go.
Are our assignments also going to be posted on Moodle?
This is. Yeah. This is posted on Moodle, so you can go and take a look at it. Okay? We're going to do this on Wednesday. All right? And what we're going to do is we're going to have a little competition to see who can construct the tallest freestanding tower using only one letter-size sheet of paper, and which we'll hand out, and 2 feet of Scotch tape. That's all you get. All right? So that's the design that you need to come up with, and that it's got to be freestanding. So you're going to have it on the table, and it's going to stand there by itself. Okay? For at least 10 seconds. Yes?
So standing by itself, you mean it can't be taped to the table?
It cannot be taped to the table. Okay? Cannot be freestanding, no support, just itself. All right? Now, towers in the past have been as tall as 6 feet. That's pretty tall. Okay? Out of one sheet of paper and 2 feet of Scotch tape. So what I want to do today is this. I want to break up into teams, 2, 3, maybe 4. I want you to, and we're going to do this now, and I'm going to give you time because with this many people, it would probably be very hard for all of you as teams to get together today, tomorrow, and come in on Wednesday. So I'll give you some time today, the rest of the time that we have, about 10 or 15 minutes, and you'll break into teams. Before you leave today, I want a piece of paper that has your team name on it and what you think you're going to do for your design. Okay? And then on Wednesday, each member of the team may have had some different thoughts. I'll give you a few minutes at the beginning of class to make modifications. Okay? And I'll hand back the papers that you've given me so you can write those modifications down, and then you're going to turn those back into me and build your tower. Okay? All right? So we want to break into teams. I need, on a paper, I need team member names. I need then your design after talking about it for, like I say, about 10 minutes or so. Okay? And this is due today, and then I'll review them. I'll hand them back at the beginning of class. I'll make sure Dr. Gauger has them to hand back on Wednesday morning. And then those will all be handed back in if you've made any changes to your design, and you'll build your, we'll have most of the class period to build our little towers. Okay? Yes?
One real quick question. So if we go and we design like on our own, we just practice like in our dorm or whatever, and we make a tower, can we bring that on Wednesday so we have something to model our next one after?
Sure. Why not? Press your button.
What kind of paper are we going to be provided with? Is it going to be
just
like
regular
like printer paper?
Printer paper. That's what that's what I'll have here. Just regular printer paper. Any questions? Idaho Falls? B16? Okay, well, I want you to break into teams then. Situate yourselves. Preferably, 2 to 3. If you have 4, then split into groups of 2. 2 to 3. Okay? I'll put the design process back up here so that you can go through these steps. You know what you're going to do. And if you have questions, just holler. Press your button.
How much tape was it again?
2 feet of tape.
2 feet.
Press your button.
Thank you.
Can we cut the paper?
I'm sorry?
Can we cut the paper?
Can you cut the paper? You can choose to do what you wish to the paper.
We bring scissors.
Press your button and holler at me. It's hard to hear. Yes, you may bring scissors. If you're going to cut the paper, you may bring scissors. I will have the paper and tape here. I'll allow you to use scissors.
Mary?
Yes.
Are there any other design limitations, any features that it can or cannot have?
No. It's up to their imagination.
All right. I really have a hard time believing that 6 feet one.
Yeah. We had one last semester that was 5.5 feet.
That's impressive.
Okay, I'm going to run to B30, B16 just for a second, just to check on them. Yes. Oh, can you do the Elmo? This one? This one? Okay.
An idea of the design?
Yes.
Kind of what we're going to think about doing?
I do want your design idea as to what you're going to do on that piece of paper. You may draw it.
Just draw it or something?
You may draw a sketch of what your plan is. You can also, in a few words, tell me what you're going to do. We're going to use strips of paper rolled together, whatever it is you're going to use. Okay?
Dr. Hoffley,
Yes.
is there a limitation on what tools we can use?
Well, in the past, I've just surprised the class with this, but since we're actually doing it, what are you thinking of? We're allowed scissors.
Okay, maybe a razor to cut the paper with and something to wrap the paper around to give a uniform.
Like a uniform. I see, like a straw or something.
Yes.
But the straw is not going to stay in there?
No. Correct.
Okay, sure. Well, we'll see what you guys can do with those things.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'll be right back. Mary Lou?
Yes.
Will you be down here before Wednesday?
I don't think I will. I was wondering how best to get the papers to you. I could just fax them. There won't be that many.
You could do that. That would be great. Or is Jay up there or anything before Wednesday that he could bring them down and then maybe get them back up to you?
I'll inquire today.
Okay, but if not, the faxing would be great, or scan and email, and then I can get them back to you the same way.
What did you call it?
Tubing, syringe, tubing.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so we will use rolled tubes, taped closed. I don't know how much detail she wants, but closed and then taped in the design.
I'm sorry, did somebody have a question?
But my only concern is like going up on the middle.
Yeah.
How are you gonna get those pieces to kind of go together?
As far as going taller,
Yeah, like snapping them together.
I think if you telescope, so if you make one, and then the other one would just insert there,
Okay.
and then the next, then you could just tape it just a little bit there, and then the next one you would just tape it in like that too.
Okay.
Does that work?
I was thinking so, yeah.
Okay. So we can sew extensions. We'll write that in there. Telescoped, I guess. I'm just going to put that because I don't know what else to call it. Into each other. Is that going to support it? We have to make sure that's really tight so that it doesn't come down flat.
Right.
I think it'll be okay. I think as long as it's more narrow though, because if it's too wide, I think wide is what makes it fall.
Right, it makes it droop.
So as long as it's tighter up.
Your mic is on.
Oh. How do I
Please make sure that you have all signed the attendance list, that sheet that was going around. Yes, there's a question in the back. Hang on just 1 second.
Can I bring a toothpick to make a little flag for the top?
If you want to.
Is that good enough? Is that understandable?
Yeah, all your team members' names are on there? Yep.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
me and him.
Okay, very good.
Got that?
Okay.
You wanted a team name, right?
Oh, excellent.
Oh, and I need to plug in for my VA.
Okay, if you're finished with your design and everything, please turn them in, and we'll see everyone on Wednesday.